For this project, any category 4 yarn will work, but I used a quarter skein of Caron 1 pound in mixed gray and a half a skein in Caron 1 pound in lavender blue. As for tools, a 6 and an 8mm hook, scissors, stitch markers, and a tape measure. There's a written pattern down below. Use offer code TCDDIY for a discount. Watch to the end of the video to learn how to enter this week's giveaway. We're using 4 stitches for this project and they will be as follows. Chain, slip stitch, single crochet, half double crochet, and half double crochet herringbone. This tutorial is for a size small, but you can adjust it for your size and we explain how to in the video, so let's get started. Getting started on this jacket, we're first going to grab our category 4 yarn, make a slip knot, grab our 8mm hook, and start off by making a chain that goes from our underarm down to where we want the bottom of this top to be, keeping in mind we will have a bottom border as well. So I'm going to go ahead and make a chain that is 10.5 inches or 27 centimeters, and that's about 30 chains. Now that we have our chain, what we're going to do from here is block off that last chain, do a chain up of 1, and then into that loop that we blocked off with the second chain from our hook, we're going to go in with a row of single crochets. Let's do the next single crochet together. Insert your hook into that next available loop, yarn over, pull through that 1, yarn over, pull through 2. Go ahead and keep putting 1 single crochet into every loop that we have, going back down our chain. Getting started on our second row of our underarm portion, what we're going to do from here is do a chain up of 1, flip our work, and we're still going to be doing single crochets, but now we're going to be going in through the back loops and only for this row. So into this next loop that we have, we would go into the back loop and single crochet. Once we make it to the end, I'll meet you guys back so I can show you guys what to do from there. Now that we have our second row, and our second row is back loop single crochets, for a little portion after this, we're just going to be going in with a regular single crochets right after this. So all we're going to do is do a chain up of 1, flip our work, and then into every loop that we have, go ahead and put in 1 single crochet, and then once when you guys have your second to last row, we will be meeting each other back because we're going to need to go in with another row of back loop single crochets so that this ribbing is all facing one side so that we can go in with our corset ties later. But a really quick tip is, in total, try and keep this section an even number. Otherwise, if it's an odd number, it's still doable, but otherwise we'll have to go in with a front loop single crochet instead of a back because we would have started on the other side. So I'm going to meet you back once when I have a total of 7 rows, and then into the 8th we will be going in with our back loop single crochets, but you guys can go ahead and make this as thick as you guys want. And also, just to let you guys know, I'm going to keep going until I have a total of 2.5 inches or 6 centimeters. So go ahead and do that and I'll meet you guys back. We are now back and I have my 7 rows. I'm about to go in with my last row, which is my 8th, and we're going to be going in with a row of back loop single crochets just like how we started off our second row. And like I said before, if you guys are going into your, say for example, your 7th or your 9th row, which is obviously an odd number, you're going to have to be going in through the front loops, which is possible. Everything will work out fine, but just keep that in mind when you guys are going in with this section right here. But once when I get here, I'm going to do a chain up of 1, flip my work, and now you guys can see that my ribbing is faced up towards us, so I'm going to go in with back loop single crochets because I need this ribbing to be facing up towards us as well. So go ahead and keep doing this all the way down, and then once when you guys get all the way down to the end, I'm going to cut and tie, and then we can get started on the rest of this panel. So this is what we should have once when we have our underarm portion all finished up. The next thing that we're going to do is just go in with our front panel, but right before we go in with that, we're going to want to figure out how many rows we want our stripes to be. And just to let you guys know, I'm going to go in with 3 herringbone rows. So however many rows you guys want, you're going to go to one of the corners, and then you're going to count out 2 loops per row. So like I said, I want 3 rows, so I'm going to count out 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then insert my stitch marker into that 6th loop. And then from there, once when we go up from this bottom portion all the way up to our stitch marker, we are not going to go past that because this portion is going to be reserved for our stripe. But once when we have figured that out, go ahead and insert your hook into the opposite corner, and then we're going to go in with a row of half double crochet. So just to start this off, we're first going to be inserting our hook in through that opposite corner from where our stripe is going to be. We're going to pull through, and then we're going to start off by doing a chain up of 2. That counts as a half double crochet. From here, we're just going to be putting 1 half double crochet into every loop that we have, going all the way up towards our stitch marker. But we are going to be leaving 3 loops because we need to be doing a decrease into those 3 as well. So go ahead and put 1 half double crochet all the way up, and then I'll meet you guys right about here. So we are back with our first row of our half double crochets, and we are 3 loops away from our stitch marker. And into these 3 loops, we're going to be doing a decrease of 2 half double crochet into the third and second to last, and then just putting 1 into that last. So let's do that together. We're going to prepare for a half double crochet, go into that third to last, we're going to yarn over, pull through that 1, and then insert into that second to last, yarn over, pull through. We should have 4 loops on our hook. From here, we're going to yarn over, pull through all 4, and then that is our decrease for this portion. And then into that last one, we're just going to be going in with 1 half double crochet, and we're just leaving this one on the edge because if we go all the way up to the edge with our decreases, when we go in with our single crochets to clean up the herringbone stitch stripe, it's going to be pulling on this entire decrease section, so there's going to be a pretty significant gap, and we don't want that. That's why we're having this at the very end. But once when we have that, we're going to work our way up to the next row by doing a chain up of 2. We're going to flip our work, and then into every other row we're going to be going in with a decrease of 3. So we just did a decrease of 2 right here, and into this next one we're going to yarn over, insert into that first, yarn over, pull through, into the second, yarn over, pull through, one more time, into that third, yarn over, pull through. We should have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 loops on our hook. From here we're going to yarn over and just pull through all 5 loops. And we're doing it this way so that once we do go in with our herringbone stripe, it's going to have a pretty decent decline, which is what we want. And once when we get here, we're going to put 1 half double crochet into every loop going all the way back down. Once we make it to the end, we're going to do a chain up of 2, flip our work, and then do half double crochets all the way down, leaving the last 3 loops. And then since we're coming up towards our decline, we're going to be doing a decrease of 2 into the third and second to last, and then putting 1 half double into that last. To work our way up to the next row, we're going to be doing a chain up of 2, flipping our work, and since we're going back down towards our base, we're going to do a decrease of 3. And then we're going to do that for just a few rows because we are going to need to come back with a slip for our pocket. So I will actually be meeting you guys back after our 3rd row. Alrighty, so we are back, and I have my 3 rows, like I said, that I was going to have right before we need to go in with our pocket slit. And you guys could have more rows, you guys can have less, this is completely up to you. But whenever we are ready for our pocket slit, we're first going to need to be inserting our stitch markers into 2 spots. The place where I first inserted my stitch marker from the bottom counting up, I insert it into the 3rd and then also into the 11th, which is just the right size for my hand to be sliding in and out. And then once when we have those 2 stitch markers in, what I'm going to do is actually go in with my secondary color. We're going to go in with a chain that goes from 1 stitch marker over to the next. We're going to cut, and then we're going to continue doing our work with our primary color, going all the way down over our chain and back, and then continue on with this pattern that we have until we get the size of the front panel that we want. So I didn't cut and tie. If you guys already did, that is okay. You guys can just reattach your yarn later. But first we're going to insert our hook into any one of the loops that has our stitch markers in it. I'm going to insert my hook into there, insert my yarn onto my hook. We're going to pull through, do a chain up of 1 to secure. And from here, count and see how many loops you guys have from this loop that we have all the way over to our next stitch marker. I have a total of 7 in between. So I'm going to go in with a chain of 7. This already counts as 1. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Once we have that, we're going to insert our hook into this next loop that has our other stitch marker into it. And from here, we're going to yarn over, pull through everything with a slip stitch, chain up 1, and then cut. And then now we can be going back in with our primary color, going all the way down. But we're going to do this first little bit with each other, and then I'll let you guys go on with the front panel from there. So I'm about to go in with my row that goes over our chain. If you guys ended down here, that's completely fine. Just keep up with this pattern that I showed you guys earlier. But I'm going to be working my way down towards my base. So that is a decrease of 3 rows. So we're going to do a chain up of 2, flip our work. We're going to prepare for a half double, go into that first, yarn over, pull through, go into the second, yarn over, pull through, and then into that third, yarn over, pull through. We should have 5 loops on our hook. Go ahead and pull through all 5 loops. And then from here, just put 1 half double into every loop that we have. And then I will meet you guys back once we get to where our chain is. And I'll show you guys what to do from there so we don't miss out on any loops. We have made our way all the way down to where our chain starts. And all we're going to do once we get here is go into that first loop that we slip stitched into. So we're going to prepare for a half double, go into that loop that already has our chain into it with a regular half double. And then from there, we can go in putting 1 half double into every loop that we have into our chain, and then working our way all the way down. Once we make it to the end, continue on with the pattern of either doing a chain up of 2 and then working way back and then decreasing on this side, or vice versa. It doesn't matter what side you guys are on. But we're only doing it this way so that we don't miss out on this loop and we end up getting a smaller front panel than we actually want. But go ahead and keep doing this until you get the length that you want of your front panel. And then I'll meet you guys back so I can let you guys know how many rows and then also the size that I have. So we are back and we should have something that looks a little bit like this. From one end all the way to where I ended, I have a total of 7 inches or 18 centimeters. And just from our primary color down to where this ended, I have a total of 8 rows. But once when we have this, we're actually going to start going in with our stripe detail. But the first thing we're going to have to do is go in with a row of single crochet along the top to clean this up so that it's easier for us to go in with our row. So how we're going to start off this first row of our stripe detail is inserting our hook into the same loop that we first did our decreases in, instead of going in through these available loops because we don't want to take any of these away. So we're going to be inserting our hook into that loop, insert our yarn onto our hook, pull through, and then since these are a bunch of side half double crochets, we're going to be alternating between 1 single crochet to 2 single crochet into each side half double crochet row. So let's just do the first bit together. Into this first side half double crochet row, we're going to go in with 2 single crochets. So there is 1, and then there's 2. And then once we have that, into that next row, we're going to go in with 1. Let's do one more set together into this next one. 2 single crochets. And then into the row right after that, go in with 1. And go ahead and keep doing this all the way down until you guys don't have any more loops left to go into. And then once we hit that, go ahead and cut and tie, and then we can move on with the rest. So we've just finished up going in with our row of single crochets going all the way down. And then once when we have this, we're actually going to go in with our stripe. And that's going to be a bunch of half double crochet herringbones. But we're going to have to do some decreases and some increases. So the easiest way for us to do this together is to insert our hook into this corner where our previous single crochet row ended. So we're going to insert our hook, insert our yarn, pull through, and start off by doing a chain up of 2. Once when we have that, along the outside edge that we have right here, we're going to be doing decreases, and then along the inside where our underarm portion is, we're going to be doing increases, and that's to help us with our incline to make sure that everything is aligned properly. So let's do a decrease, half double crochet, herringbone stitch together. We're going to prepare for a half double crochet, insert our hook in through that next available loop, yarn over, pull through, and then into that next one, insert, yarn over, pull through. Once when we have this, we're going to be taking the first loop that's right next to our hook and then pulling through the next 2 loops. So just take that, pull through 1, pull through 2. And once when we have that, we should have 2 loops on our hook. We're going to yarn over, pull through those 2. And then that is our decrease over here. And then we're going to put 1 half double crochet herringbone stitch going all the way up, leaving the last loop because we're going to be doing an increase up here. So let's do a couple of these regular half double herringbones together. So just doing a couple of these half double herringbones together, we're going to prepare for a half double, insert our hook into that next available loop, we're going to yarn over and pull through. And just like how we did the decrease, we're going to take the first loop that's closest to our hook and then pull through just that middle loop, or the second one, like that. Once we have that, we're going to yarn over and then pull through both loops on our hook. Let's do one more together. We're going to prepare for a half double, insert into that next available loop, yarn over, pull through that loop. And from here, we're going to pull this first loop underneath our second, leaving 2 loops on our hook. From here, we're going to yarn over, pull through 2. And go ahead and keep doing that all the way down, leaving the last loop that we have in this row so that we can meet back and increase together. Okay, so we are back with our half double herringbones going all the way up. We left our last loop so that we can do an increase together. It's basically just 2 of them into that same loop. So let's do this together really quickly. We're going to prepare for a half double, insert our hook into that last loop, yarn over, pull through. We're going to pull that first strand underneath our second, leaving 2 loops on our hook. From here, we're going to yarn over, pull through 2, and just do one more into that same loop. So prepare for a half double, insert into that last loop again, yarn over, pull through, pull that first loop underneath our second loop, which going into this with the second one could be a little hard. So if you guys need to, pull the second one over our first one, leaving the last 2 loops again, and then yarn over, pull through 2. Once when we have that, we should be right next to our base, which is our little underarm portion. So all we're going to do from here is count up 2 available loops. I'm going to count 1, count 2, slip stitch into that second, yarn over, pull through just like that. And then in order to work our way up to the next row, we're going to slip stitch up the next 2 loops. So there's 1, there is 2. Let's flip our work, and then we're going to do the same sequence. So increase of 2 half double herringbones here, 1 into every loop, leaving the last 3 loops here because we're going to be doing a decrease into the third and second to last, and then putting 1 into that last. So let's do this together. We're going to prepare for a half double, insert into that first loop, yarn over, pull through, pull that first loop underneath our second, leaving 2 loops, yarn over, pull through those 2. Let's do one more into that same loop since we're right next to the base. Prepare for a half double, insert into that same loop, yarn over, pull through, pull that first strand underneath our second strand, yarn over, pull through 2. And then we're just going to be putting 1 half double herringbone going all the way down, leaving the last 3, and then I'll meet you guys back. So we are back, and we have left the last 3 loops into this row so that we can do a decrease of half double herringbones together and then put 1 regular half double into that last. So in order to do that decrease, we're going to prepare for a half double, insert into that third to last loop, yarn over, pull through that loop. From here, we're going to go into that second to last loop, yarn over, pull through. From here, we're going to take that first loop that's on our hook and then pull through the second and the third loop. So just take that, pull through 1, pull through 2. We should leave 2 loops on our hook. From here, we're going to yarn over, pull through those 2, and then that counts as our decrease. And from here, just put our regular half double into that last loop. And then once when we are here, I actually just have 1 more row left to go into. Like I said, since we lift those 6 loops up on top, I'm going to do my last row, and then I'll meet you guys back. We are back, and we have just finished going in with our half double herringbone stripe. And now we just need to go up so that this hits our shoulder, and then we'll be done with this front panel. And the easiest way for us to do that together is actually inserting our hook into this bottom corner, working our way up with single crochets, and then from here we can measure all the way up and then go in with our rows from there. So go ahead and insert your hook in through this bottom corner where our stripe is, and then work all the way up with single crochets until we get to this corner, and then I'll meet you guys back. Now that we've made our way all the way up to the top portion of our stripe or our half double herringbone row, what we're going to do is just take this and then measure all the way up to the tip of our shoulder. And whatever that measurement is, we're going to be going in with a chain of that length. And just to let you guys know, I have a total of 7 inches or 18 centimeters, so I'm going to go in with a chain of 20. Once when we have that, we're basically going to be mimicking what we have right here, but instead of going in with decreases, we're going to be going in with increases. So make your chain, and then I'll meet you guys back. Now that I have my chain, we're now going to be going in with a row of half double crochets going all the way down, leaving that last loop so that we can do an increase into there together. So just to start this off, we're going to be blocking off that last chain. We're going to do an extra chain up of 2, prepare for a half double, and then insert your hook into that loop that we blocked off, or the third one from our hook, with a half double. And go ahead and put 1 into every loop that we have in our chain, leaving the last one, and then I'll meet you guys back. So we've just gone all the way down with our row of half double crochets, leaving that last loop. And then into this last loop, we're going to be doing an increase of 2 for this row. So all that is putting 2 half doubles into that last loop. So there is 1, and then there's 2. Once when we have those 2 into that last loop, we're going to count up 1, count up 2 loops, slip stitch into that second loop. And then once when we have that, in order to combat what we did at the bottom to make sure that it all looks the same, we're only going to be slip stitching up 1 loop. Once when we have that, we will be flipping our work, And then in the previous rows that we have right here, we were doing decreases of 3. So now we're going to be going in with an increase of 3. So we're going to prepare for a half double. Into this first loop that we have, we're going to go in with 3 half doubles. So there's 1, 2, and then 3. And then once we get here, we're just going to be putting 1 regular half double going all the way down to our blunt portion. Once we work our way back, we're going to do a chain up of 2, work our way back down, leaving that last loop, and then doing an increase of 2. Once when we have that, we're going to slip stitch into the second loop that we have into our base to close off that row. And then in order to work our way up to the next row, we're going to slip stitch up just 1. And then working our way back towards our blunt portion, we're going to be doing an increase of 3 into that first loop. And we're going to keep going back and forth like that until we don't have any more of these loops left to go into. And then I will meet you guys back. And now that we're done with our shoulder portion, our work should look a little something like this. But once when we have this, we're actually going to do the same exact thing that we just did here on the other side for our other front panel. The only tip that I have for you guys is that once when we go into our first row of this body portion, we're actually going to be inserting our hook in through a different spot because we need these to be faced up and out towards us. So go ahead and do this underarm portion. Once you guys have that, I'll meet you guys back just to show you guys where to insert your stitch markers, and then we can move on from there. So we have our first side panel all finished up, and like I said in the previous clip, I went ahead and did the underarm portion just like how we did it on this side. And the only tip that I have for you guys is, since this ribbing portion needs to stay upward, you're going to want to make sure that you guys are inserting your hook into the right section so that this can face up towards us instead of just going off of this edge just like how we did for the first front panel that we did. So as you guys can see, we started off over here. You guys are just going to want to place them next to each other, and then you're going to insert your hook into the corner that's closest to the front panel and then work your way back up the same way that we did this portion. So go ahead and get all of this done, and then I'll meet you guys back. So we are back with both of our front panels that we have, and this is what things are looking like. And just to double check, we do have our ribbing, and we just want to make sure that they're both facing up towards us. And then now that we have this, we're going to get started on our back portion, and this is actually going to be very similar, if not exactly the same, to how we did this front portion, minus this little slit for our pocket, obviously. So just taking a look at one of our front panels, I have already inserted my hook in through the 6th loop that I have from the top. And remember, I inserted it into the 6th because I had 3 rows of herringbones up here. I do want my herringbone rows within the front and the back to match, so that's why I have this right here. But other than that, I'm actually going to go in with the same type of stitches and same decreases that we had right here, just going all the way down and then back and forth until this chunk that we're going to be building off of this reaches the middle of our back. And then once we have that, we're going to be going up with increases so that this herringbone stitch that we're going to put in later will come to a V and then go back up in the other direction. So we're just going to start this off with each other, and then I'll let you guys move on from there. So starting off our back portion, we're going to insert our hook into this bottom corner, insert our yarn onto our hook, pull through. Once when we have that, we're going to do a chain up of 2. That counts as our half double crochet. And then from here, we're going to start this off together. We're just going to put 1 half double crochet into every loop until we have 3 loops right before our stitch marker. We're going to be doing a decrease of 2 and then a regular half double into that last. And then we'll go up into our next row, which is a decrease of 3 together. And then I'll let you guys move on from there. So go ahead and go all the way up with half doubles until we reach our 3rd to last loop. So we've done our half double crochets coming all the way up, leaving the last 3 loops right before our stitch marker. And into that 3rd and 2nd to last loop, we're going to be doing a decrease. So we're going to prepare for a half double, insert, yarn over, pull through, and then into that 2nd to last, insert, pull through, yarn over, pull through all 4 loops. And then right here, we're just going to be going in with 1 half double. Once when we have that, we're going to do a chain up of 2, flip our work, and then we're going to do 1 decrease of 3 together, and then I'll let you guys go from there. But all we're going to do from here is prepare, insert into that 1st loop, yarn over, pull through, 2nd loop, yarn over, pull through, and then 3rd loop, yarn over, pull through. We're going to yarn over, pull through all 5 loops on our hook, and then go all the way down with half double crochets. Do a chain up of 2, work our way back since we're working our way up towards our decrease section. we're going to leave the last 3 loops, and we're going to do a decrease of 2 into the third and second to last, and then put 1 half double into that last. And then to work our way up to the next row, we're going to do a chain up of 2, decrease of 3, since we're working our way down towards our base, and we're going to keep going back and forth like that until we have a chunk that hits mid back, and then I'll meet you guys back once we have that all done. Okie dokie, so we are all back with about half of our back piece that we have right here, and I have cut and tied. And just to let you guys know, I have a total of 10 rows from this first row all the way down to here, and right here to here is a total of 5.5 inches or 14 centimeters. So it's basically the same as what we did in the front, just with an addition of 2 rows. But once when we have this, we're going to mimic the front again, and then we're going to go into the row of single crochet going along the top of what we just did with our primary color, and then we're going to go in with our herringbone stitch stripe right after that. So just as a reminder, when we're going in with our single crochet row, make sure you insert your hook into this loop that has our primary color into it, and then put 1 single crochet into every other side half double crochet. So just alternate between 1 single crochet to 2 to 1 to 2, and work your way all the way down. Once we make it to the end, cut and tie, and then I'll meet you guys back. Once we made our way all the way down with our single crochet row, we are going to do this same exact thing that we did up here. We're just going to have a couple extra herringbone stitches because obviously there's more rows right here. So just to refresh you guys really quickly, we're going to be inserting our hook in through this bottom loop that we have. We're going to insert our secondary color on, pull through, do a chain up of 2. There's 1, there's 2. And then into these first 2, we're going to be doing a decrease of half double herringbone stitches. So we're going to prepare for half double, go into that next available loop, yarn over, pull through. Into the loop after that, insert, pull through. From here, we're going to take the loop that is closest to our hook, pull it underneath the next 2 loops, and then we're going to yarn over, pull through 2, and that is our decrease. From here, put 1 half double herringbone going all the way up, leaving the last loop because we're going to increase together, and then I'll let you guys have out the rest of this portion on your own. We've just made our way all the way up with our half double herringbone stitches, leaving the last loop because we're going to be doing an increase together, and then we'll move on from there. What we're going to do from here is prepare for a half double, go into that last loop, we're going to yarn over, pull through, we're going to pull that first loop underneath our second loop, yarn over, pull through 2, and we're going to be doing the same thing into that same last loop. This is going to be our last stitch for this row. Pull through, pull that first one underneath our second one, but this one could be a little tricky, so go ahead and just pull your second one over your first one if you guys need. Yarn over, pull through 2. Once we have this, we're going to count up 1, 2 loops that we have into our base. We're going to slip stitch into that second loop to close off this row. And then just to start off this next row, we're going to be slip stitching up the next 2 loops, flip our work, and then continue on with the same pattern that we did before, going all the way down, back and forth until we don't have any more loops left to go into, and then I'll meet you guys back. We've just finished up going in with our herringbone stripe, and this is what things are looking like. And we're actually just going to do the same exact thing that we just did here. So our half double crochet rows where we did our decreases, single crochet, and then our herringbone stripe on our, if I can find it, other side, which is right here. But go ahead and just do the same exact thing that we just did here, and then I'll meet you guys up so that we can seam it up together and start working on the upper back. We are now back with both of our back pieces all finished up, and now what we're going to do from here is just seam them up together, and then we can go in with this top chunk on top of everything that we just made. So the only thing that we need to do when we are seaming it together is make sure that the ribs that we have are facing each other. So all I'm going to do, since they're both facing up, is just place them on top of each other. And then from here we can go in with a row of single crochet going all the way down with our primary color, and then when we hit our secondary color, we will be switching out just to make sure that everything stays nice and clean. So the first thing we're going to do is insert our hook into the corner loop of our front panel, and then the corner loop of our back panel, insert our primary color onto that because it matches, pull through, do a chain up of 1 to secure. And then from here, we're going to be inserting our hook in through the first available loop in the front panel, and then into the next available loop into the back panel, and then single crochet. And then I'll meet you guys back until we have just one loop left, and then we will be switching out our colors together. So we're seaming up the back and we are ready to switch out our colors. We have just one loop left right before we get to our secondary color. So we're first going to be inserting our hook in through the next available loop that we have in the front, and then the next available loop that we have in the back. From here, we're going to yarn over and pull through. We should have 2 loops on our hook, and before we do anything else, we're going to take our next color and simply place it on top of our hook and then pull that secondary color through those 2 loops that we have. That is our previous color. Once we have this, we're going to pull our primary color tight, and then we're going to tie our 2 tail ends together. And then once when we have that, we can go in with more single crochets going into our secondary color section. And these are side half double crochets. So I'm going to be alternating between 1 to 2 single crochets into each side half double. Once we make our way up to the top, go ahead and chain up 1 and cut, and then we can start working on the back. So we have just seamed up the entirety of our back portion that we have so far. We do need to go up with the upper portion of the back, and I'm just going to say really quick that this looks really cool. So the first thing that we're going to have to do is just go in with a row of single crochet along the entirety of what we have from this point over to this point, so that once when we go in with our primary color, it looks a lot cleaner. So all I'm going to do is insert my hook into one of these corners, insert my yarn onto my hook, and then I'm just going to put 1 single crochet into every loop going all the way down. And I'll meet you guys back once when we get to this down point so that we can do a little decrease to keep this clean together. We've done our single crochets going all the way down. Now we are at our loops that is connected into the seam that we just made for ourselves. And we're just going to go in with a decrease of 2 just to keep this nice and clean. So we're going to insert our hook in through that loop, yarn over, pull through, and then into the next loop that we have on the other side of our seam. Insert, pull through. We should have 3 loops on our hook. From here, we're going to yarn over, pull through all 3. That should pull it in nice and tight. And then go all the way back up with 1 single crochet into every loop. And then once we have that, we're going to do a chain up of however many chains you guys did for this front portion, but I'll meet y'all back so that we can start that off together. Now that we've finished going in with our single crochet, now we're just going to make a chain that is the same chain length that we have in the front right here. So it's basically just going to reach all the way up to the tip of your shoulder. So I'm going to make a chain length that is the same as my front, which is a total of 20 chains or 7 inches or 18 centimeters. Now that we have our chain length, we're going to block off that last chain. Do a chain up of 2 that counts as a half double, prepare for a half double, and go into that loop that we blocked off, or the third one from our hook, with a half double. And go ahead and keep doing this all the way down until we have our last loop, and then we're going to be doing our increases together. So we just made it all the way down to the end with our row of half double crochets, and this portion going down towards the bottom of our V is going to be exactly the same way that we did the front. So we're just going to do the increase for this row and then the increase for the next row together, and then I'll let you guys have at it, and then we will do our increases together going up the other side. But once we get here, we just have 1 loop left. We're going to prepare for a half double, and then into this first loop for our first row, we're going to go in with an increase of 2. So here is 1. And then here is 2. Once when we have that, we're going to be slip stitching into the next available loop. And once we have that, we're going to be slip stitching into the second available loop that is into our base. So we're going to count out 1, count out 2. We're going to insert our hook into that second loop with a slip stitch. Now we're going to turn my work, and then we can do our increase of 3. So our first row of our back portion is all finished up, and now we're about to go into our second. And all this one is going to be is a slip stitch of 1 into that next available loop. We're going to flip our work. And then into this first available loop, we're going to be going in with 3 half double, which is an increase of 3. So here is 1, 2, and then 3. Once we have those 3, we're going to work our way back up with half double crochets, make it to the end, chain up 2, work our way back down with half doubles, leaving the last loop, doing an increase of 2, slip stitching into the second available loop into the base to close off that row, and then to work our way up to the next row, just slip stitch into the next one, and then flip our work, and then do an increase of 3, and then work our way back. And we're going to keep going back and forth like that until we make our way all the way down to this middle portion of our V. And then we're going to keep doing that pattern all the way down until we get to this middle point, and then I'll meet you guys back so that we can do the other side together. And then now that we have this chunk all finished up, we went halfway, we're going to do the same thing that we did here on this other side. And then once we have this side done, we're just going to seam up the middles just like how we did this portion. And then we will be all done with this back part, and then we'll connect these shoulder parts together. Okay, so we are all back. We have just finished going in with the second half of our back portion, and we have seamed this up. And right before we get started with connecting our shoulder portions, I know that I'm going to get some questions as to why we did the top part separately. And what I was trying to do was actually just trying to make the top part one big piece instead of having a seam in the middle, just to kind of clean things up because this bottom part did have a seam. But that was a little bit more difficult than I thought it would be because of the bulkiness that we would have from the increases and decreases down here. So this is actually just the easiest way to do it. So that's why we did it this way. So I've answered your questions. But when we get here, now we're just going to connect our shoulder portions. As you guys can see, I've already done one of mine, so we're just going to do the next one together. So how we're going to connect this shoulder portion together is actually super duper simple. All we're going to do is just fold this on top of each other, but we are going to make sure that the seam is faced towards the outside because we want these seams to be on the same side when we wear it. So I'm going to fold mine out this way, making sure that my seam is faced up. And then when we go in, when we flip it back around, our seams are going to be along the same side. And this part's going to be fairly simple. We're going to first insert our hook into the corner loop that we have into the front panel. And then also into the same corner loop that we have into that back panel. Insert our yarn onto our hook. Pull through and then chain up one to secure. And then when we have that, we're just going to go across with single crochets, making sure that we're going in through both the front panel and the back panel at the same time. And once we make it to the end, we're going to cut and tie, flip our work back around, and then we can get started on the sleeve portion. But really quickly, since we are going into all of these side half doubles, we're going to alternate between one single crochet into one, two single crochet into the next, just like how we've done everything else so far. But go ahead and keep that in mind, make it to the end, chain up one and cut. You guys can go ahead and do the other side as well. And then I'll meet you guys back so we can go in with our sleeve. Okay, so we are back with our top. And right now we actually have a really cool looking vest. So if you guys want, you guys are more than welcome to just leave it like this. But if you guys want to add in the sleeves, then we're going to do that together right now. So right before we start to go in with our sleeve portion, we're going to need to clean this up just a little bit. I've already done this side, so I'll just show you guys. But we're going to be going in with 2 rows of single crochet. The first one is just going to be a regular row of single crochet that goes all the way around with the corresponding color that is right beneath it. So as for right here, we're going to go in with our primary color going up and over all the way down. And then once we hit down here, go in with our secondary color, chain up one and cut. And then when we have that, we're going to go in with one more row of our primary color going all the way around, doing some necessary decreases just so this can be rounded out just a little bit more instead of it being a little bit blocky where the underarm is. So we're going to do the first row together. It's going to be super duper simple. We're going to be inserting our hook into any loop. It does not matter which one. Let me grab my yarn first. I'm going to make a slip knot. And then I just like to insert my hook anywhere. And so into any one of these holes, I'm just going to insert my hook. And then from here, I'm just going to work my way all the way around with this primary color. When I get to the last loop right here, I'm going to be switching up my colors to my secondary and then going across with my secondary color and then switching back to my primary color so that we can insert it into here, do a chain up of 1 and cut. And then when we have that, we'll meet each other back one more time so we can go in with our primary color going all the way around while doing our necessary decreases. So go ahead and do that and I'll meet you guys back. So we've just made our way all the way around with our first row of single crochets. And now we're just going to go in with one more row of single crochet, but this one we're going to be doing just a handful of decreases. We're just going to be doing 3 to clean up some edges that we have, and then we can go in with our actual sleeve. So just to let you guys know, I did end on my primary color, so I'm not going to chain up 1 and cut and tie and do all that nonsense, but if you guys did, that is more than fine. Go ahead and just insert your hook back into any one of these primary color loops and then go in with your primary color or whatever color you guys want your sleeve to be, and then we can move on from there. but all I'm going to do from here is do a chain up of 1, and then I'm just going to go around with a row of single crochet, and the first one is going to be where, since I'm over here, is going to be where our shoulder seams meet, and we're just going to do a decrease of 2 here just to clean this up just a little bit, and then another decrease of 2 into this bottom corner, and then one more into this bottom corner, and then go all the way around and then slip stitch into that first single crochet that we made for ourselves. So I will meet you guys back once when we get to our first decrease section, and that doesn't matter what area you guys are going towards. I'll just meet you guys back when you guys are ready to decrease. I'll show you guys how to decrease and then move on from there. So we are at our first decrease section, which is right where our shoulder portion is, and we're just going to do one of these together, and I'll let you guys do the rest on your own. So once when we get here, we're going to insert our hook into that next available loop, yarn over, pull through, into the available loop right after that, yarn over, pull through, and then from here we're going to yarn over, pull through all 3 loops. And that is our decrease just into the shoulder portion. We're going to be doing the same thing into each of these corners as well. So go ahead and do that. Go all the way around. Once we hit our first single crochet, go into there with a slip stitch, chain up 1 and cut, and then I'll meet you guys back so we can go in with our sleeve. So we've just gone in with our row of single crochet along the entirety of our armhole that we have with our primary color. And now from here, we're just going to go in with our sleeve. And as you guys can see, I have inserted 2 stitch markers into the bottom just so I can see where the 2 middle points are. But all I'm going to do is take my hook and insert it into one of the stitch markers. I'm going to grab my primary color yarn, and I'm going to start off by making a chain that comes out to the length that I want my sleeve to be, keeping in mind that there is going to be a cuff as well. So I'm going to start off by making a chain of 43, or that's 18 inches or 46 centimeters. Now that I have my chain, what we're going to do from here is block off that last chain, do a chain up of 2 on top of that. That counts as a half double. Prepare for a half double, and then insert our hook into that loop that we blocked off, or the 3rd loop from our hook. And then from here, go ahead and put 1 half double into every loop that we have going back down our chain, but leaving the last one because we will be going in with an increase. Now that we've made our way back down with our row of half double crochet, what we're going to do from here is simply go in with an increase into this last loop and then slip stitch it into the base. So into this last loop, we're going to be going in with 2 half doubles. So here is 1. And then here is 2. Once we have that, we're going to count up 1, 2 available loops, slip stitch into that 2nd loop. And then this next portion is actually going to be different from how we've done this entire piece so far. We've only been slip stitching up 1 and then flipping our work and going into the next row. But since this is a sleeve, we can slip stitch into the next 2 to work our way up to that row. So here is 1 and 2. We're doing this so we can get just a little bit more height when we go in with our half double crochets. But once we slip stitch into those 2, we're going to flip our work. Then once we have that, we're going to be going into that first loop that we made for ourselves with another increase of 2. So insert into that loop with 1, 2 half doubles, and basically just go all the way down with more half double crochets. Once when you get to the end, do a chain up of 2, work your way back. And all we're doing is just doing an increase of 2 once we get right next to the base, slip stitching it into the base and doing that all the way up until we hit our little shoulder seam that we have right here. And then from there, we're going to do the same thing that we did on this side, but decreases instead of increases. So I'll meet you guys back once we make our way all the way up here. So we are back and we have exactly 1/2 of our sleeve all finished up. And since I ended on this outside loop, this row is going to be our first decrease row because we have made our way over to this shoulder seam that we have right here. So I am going to be working my way back up, leaving the last 2 loops that we have that's right next to the base, and then we're going to meet up so that we can do a decrease of 2 together. So we've made our way back with our first row of our decrease side of our sleeve, and what we're going to do from here is do a decrease of 2 into the last 2 loops. So all that is preparing for a half double, going into that second to last, yarn over, pull through, and then also going into that last, yarn over, pull through. We should have 4 loops, yarn over, pull through all 4, and then from here we're going to be connecting it into the base the same way that we were connecting the increase section. So we're going to count up 1, 2 available loops into the base, slip stitch into that second to close off that row, and then from there we're going to slip stitch up the next 2. Let's flip our work and then we'll do a next decrease together, and then we can continue doing that same pattern going all the way down our sleeve. So just really quickly, going into the first 2 loops, we're going to be doing a decrease. So we're going to prepare for a half double, insert, pull through, and then into the next one, insert, pull through, yarn over, pull through, all 4. and then continue to do your half double crochets going all the way down and coming back up, remembering to leave the last 2 loops to do a decrease into the 2 loops that's right next to the base, and keep doing that all the way down until we don't have any more loops left to go into, and then we'll meet each other back so that we can seam up our sleeve. So we have just finished up going in with our sleeve. We don't have any more loops left to go into, and then now we're just going to seam up the bottom to close this up, and then we can go in with our cuff. The first thing we're going to want to do is just make sure that everything is flipped wrong side out so that all of our seams are faced the same direction. But all we're going to do from here is seam it up the same way that we've been doing. So all we're going to do is insert our hook in through both of the corner loops, pull through, chain up 1 to secure, and then once when we have that, we're going to insert our hook into the first available loop into the front panel, and then into the next available loop we have in the back panel, and then single crochet. And we're going to keep doing that all the way down until we don't have any more loops left to go into. And then once we have that, we're going to go in with our cuff. So we're back and we've just finished up seaming up our sleeve, and what we're going to do now is start to work on the cuff. And right before we start working on the bulk of the cuff, we're going to need to go around the row of single crochet with our primary color, or whatever color we did our sleeve with, just to clean up the edges. So what we're going to do is insert our hook into this first side half double that's right next to our seam, pull through, chain up 1 to secure. And then from here, this portion is going to be normal. We're first going to be going into the next side half double with 1 single crochet. The next one is going to be 2 single crochet, 1, 2. We're going to be alternating between 1 single crochet and 2 single crochet, going all the way around. Once we make it back to the end, we're going to slip stitch into that first loop that we made for ourselves, do a chain up of 1 and cut. And then we're going to start off doing our cuff with another row of single crochet on top of this one that we're doing with our primary cuff color. And then from there we can go in with the length. So go ahead and finish this row and then go in with our second row of single crochet with our cuff color, and then I'll meet you guys back. So we have just made our way all the way around with our secondary color, and now we're ready to go in with the length of our cuff. But right before we do that, we're going to be switching out our 8mm hook with our 6mm hook. And then from here, we're going to want to figure out how long we want our cuff to be. So I'm going to go ahead and make a chain of 6, which comes out to about 1.5 inches or 4 centimeters. Once we have our chain, we're going to block off that last chain, do a chain up of 1, and then into that chain that we blocked off, we're going to go in with a slip stitch and pull through. Once we have that, we're going to go all the way down our chain, putting 1 slip stitch into every loop that we have. Once we make it down to the base, we are going to slip stitch into the base as well. But since we are here, we are going to do that together. I just have 1 more loop left to go into. Pull through. Once we have that, we're going to be inserting our hook into the next available loop that we have into our base, which is this one right here. We're going to slip stitch into there to close off this row and connect it into the base. Once we have that, we're going to slip stitch into the next available loop, and then from here we're going to be flipping our work, and then we're going to go into every back loop that we have with another slip stitch, creating our cuff. So into this next back loop, we're going to insert, yarn over, pull through everything. We're going to do this one more time into this next back loop, yarn over, pull through everything, and keep doing this all the way down. Once we make it to the end, do a chain up of 1, flip your work, and then do more back loop slip stitches and connect it into the base the same way that we just did, going all the way around. Once we don't have any more loops left to go into, we're going to meet each other back so that we can seam up our cuff together. So we've just made it all the way around with our cuff, and we don't have any more loops left to go into, and what we're going to do from here is just seam up the sides, which is going to be the same thing that we've done for the entire piece so far. So we're just going to do the first one together. All we're going to do is insert our hook into the first available loop into the front panel, and then into that next available loop that we have into the back panel, and then single crochet. Once we have that, we're going to keep doing that all the way down. Once we make it to the end, go ahead and cut and tie, and then do the entire sleeve and cuff sequence that we just did here on the other side, and then I'll meet you guys back. So we've just finished up going in with both of our sleeves, and what we're going to do from here is go in with our bottom border. So the first thing we're going to have to do is go around with a row of single crochet just to clean up the bottom. And just like how we've done pretty much everything else, we're going to be going in with our primary color up until when we get to our secondary color. We're going to be switching out and then going back in with our primary color, switch back out to our secondary, and then close off this section with our primary color. And then these are all pretty much side half doubles. So we're going to alternate between 1 single crochet, 2 single crochet, 1 single, 2 single. And then once we get to this section, this is going to be a bunch of side single crochets. So just put 1 single crochet into each of those. And then once you guys make your way all the way around over here, go ahead and chain up 1 and cut, and then I'll meet you guys back so we can go in with another row of single crochet and then our border. So we've just finished up going around the entirety of our bottom with the first row of single crochet, but we did switch out our colors where it was necessary, and now we're going to go in with one more row of single crochet, but this is going to be with our bottom border color, and then once when we have that, then we can start going in with the length of the bottom border. So this is going to be pretty simple. Go ahead and just insert our bottom border color, go in with a row of single crochet, nothing fancy, just put 1 into every loop, and then I'll meet you guys back. So we've just gone all the way around with our row of single crochet that is the same color as our bottom border, and now we can start going in with our bottom border. The first thing we're going to want to do is figure out how long we want our bottom border to be, and I want mine to be just about 2 inches or 5 centimeters. So I'm going to start off by making a chain of 8. Now that we have our chain, what we're going to do from here is block off that last chain. We're going to do a chain up of 3. That counts as a double. We're going to prepare for a double crochet and then insert our hook into that loop that we blocked off with our thumb, or the 4th loop from our hook, with a double crochet. And then from here, we're just going to go all the way down our work, putting 1 double crochet into every loop that we have into our chain. Once we reach the base, we're going to be slip stitching into the base together, so I will meet you guys right back. We are back, and we have just put 1 double crochet into every loop that we have into our chain. Now we're just going to connect it into the base. And how we do that is we're going to count up the next 2 available loops. Here's 1, here's 2, slip stitch into that second loop. And now this first row is all closed up. What we're going to do from here is slip stitch up the next 2 loops as well. Once we have that, we are going to be flipping our work and working into the back loops with double crochets. So we're going to prepare for a double crochet, insert our hook into that back loop, and put 1 double crochet into there, along with every other back loop that we have going back down our row. Once we make it to the end, do a chain up of 3, flip our work, and then do more back loop double crochets until we get to the base. Once we get to the base, we're going to slip stitch it into the second available loop that we have to close off that row, and then slip stitch up the next 2 loops so that we can work our way up to the next row. So basically the same thing that we just did, and we're going to keep doing that all the way around the bottom border, and then I'll meet you guys back when we don't have any more loops left to go into. So we've just finished up going in with our bottom border, and we have made it all the way around, and we did our cut. And one of the last things that we're going to have to do is go in with a border along the edges. So what we're going to start off doing is just take our secondary color, insert our hook into this bottom corner, and then we're going to go all the way up with single crochets. We're going to go up and around the neck and then down to the other side as well. So using our 8mm hook, we're going to insert our hook in through this bottom corner. And since this bottom corner we went in with a 6mm, it might be a little tricky. So what we're going to do is pull through, do a chain up of 1. And then from here, just go all the way around with a row of single crochet, and I'll meet you guys back once we get down here. And once when we have made our way all the way around with our first row of single crochets with our secondary color, we're actually going to be doing 2 more rows just to thicken this up just a little bit. And this next part isn't going to have anything fancy in it, so just go all the way up and around and over. Once we make it to the end, chain up 1 and then do that 1 more time, or however many times you guys want to do it for. And then I'll meet you guys back once we have our little front panels done. So we have just finished up going in with our panel that goes around the entire thing, and now we're going to start working on our pockets. I already have one of mine done. We're about to go into the other one together, but this is what the inside looks like, and this is going to be done just a little bit differently than what we've done on the channel so far. This one's going to be a lot easier, but when we get here, we're going to take a look at one of our front panels, and we're actually just going to flip it open, and we're going to be working directly into this pocket slit that we've made for ourselves. And the way that we're going to do that is we're going to be going in with a bunch of double crochets, but along this top side, we're going to be doing decreases, and then along this bottom side, we're going to be doing increases. So we still have the same amount of loops that we have right here, but our pocket will be facing down so that when we go to put things in there, it won't slide out. But we're going to be working into this primary color section first, and we can get started right now. So going into this section first, what we're going to be doing is inserting our hook into the front loop, so the loop that's closest to us, and we're doing it this way so that when we wear it, we're going to have a really nice ribbing along the outside right here. So what we're going to do is insert into this top corner that we have, the one that's towards our shoulder, into that front loop. We're going to insert our yarn onto our hook. From here, we're going to pull through and do a chain up of 3 that counts as a double crochet. Once when we have that, into these first 2 loops that we have, we're going to go in with a double crochet decrease. So we're going to prepare for a double crochet, go into that first front loop, yarn over, pull through. Into that next front loop, yarn over, pull through. We should have 4 loops on our hook. From here, we're going to yarn over, pull through 3, yarn over, pull through 2. And then from here, we're going to go all the way down with front loop double crochets until we get to that last loop. Once we get to that last loop, we're going to go in with an increase of 2, just so we can even out the loop since we started off with a decrease. So we've just made our way over to this last loop that we have into this row, and then into this last front loop, we're going to go in with an increase of 2. So here is 1 double crochet, and then 2 double crochet. And then as you guys can see, if you guys want to lay it down flat, our pocket is starting to face downwards towards this bottom corner, which is exactly what we want. And then what we're going to do from here is actually going to be exactly what we did over here on this first row. So we're going to start off by doing a chain up of 3. We're going to flip our work and then start off by doing an increase into this first loop. So for this row, since we're starting off with our increase, we already did our chain up of 3. We're just going to be going once into that same loop that our chain up of 3 is coming out of. That will count as our increase. We're only going to be putting 1 into there. And since this is going into the body of the pocket, we don't need to be going in through the front loops. We can just go in through both loops like normal. Once we have that, we're going to go all the way down, putting 1 double crochet into every loop until we have 3 loops left. And then into that third and second to last, we're going to be going in with a decrease of 2. So we are finally here. We have 1, 2, 3 loops left into the third to last. We're going to insert, pull through, into the second to last, insert, pull through. We're going to yarn over, pull through 3, yarn over, pull through 2. And that is our decrease. Once we have that, we're just going to be putting 1 regular double crochet into that last loop, just like that. And then this is actually just going to be the remainder of our pocket. We're just going to keep going into this slanted direction, and I'm going to go until I have a total of 4 rows. And I'm only going until I have 4 rows because remember, this does need to fit inside this front panel that we have, and that is going to fit perfectly right underneath this last row of single crochet that I have. But you guys can go ahead and make this bigger or smaller, all dependent on you guys. So I'll meet you guys back once we have our little pocket section done, and then we can get started on the other side, and then we'll seam it all together. So we just finished up going in with our primary color pocket on our right side, and now we're going to go in with our secondary color, which is where this slit is. So I'm going to take my secondary color, and now we're going to be working into the back loops. So we're going to insert our hook in through that back loop, insert our yarn onto our hook, and it's going to be the same premise. We're just going to be doing the first row together, and I'll let you guys have at it from there. We're going to pull through and start off by doing a chain up of 3 that counts as a double crochet. There's 1, 2, and 3. And then from here, we're going to prepare for a double crochet, and now we're going to be doing a back loop decrease of 2 double crochets into the next 2 loops. So we're going to insert into that next back loop, yarn over, pull through, into the back loop after that, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through 3, yarn over, pull through 2. And then we're going to put 1 back loop double crochet into every loop, going down the rest of our slit that we have, but leaving that last back loop so that we can do an increase of 2 double crochets together. And since we are almost there, we're going to stick with each other. And here, this is our last back loop. So all we're going to do is go in with an increase of 2. So there's 1, and there is 2 double crochets into that last loop. And then from here, we're basically just going to repeat the same thing that we did over here. And then once when we have that, we'll meet each other back so that we can seam everything up together. So we are back, and we now have both of our pocket panels. And then once when we have both of them all finished up, now we're just going to go all the way around with the row of single crochet just to close them up. So the first thing we're going to do is actually take a look at the body portion. And then we're going to find any loop that's closest to these 2 double crochets that we have. And then we're going to start off by inserting our hook into there, and we're going to go in with a slip stitch. Or for this portion, since we just inserted our hook, we're just going to go in with a chain up of 1. And we're doing that so that we can eliminate the gaps that we would have if we just went straight into the pocket. But once we have that, this is basically just all a bunch of side double crochets. So once when we get here, just put 2 single crochets into each of these side double crochets until we get to the bottom. And then once we get to the bottom, that part is easy because there are loops for us to go into. We just have to make sure we're going in through both the front and the back panel at the same time. So once when we get here, we're going to go into next to a loop in the front panel, next to a loop in the back panel, and single crochet. And we're going to keep doing this all the way around the corner, and then back up the other side of our pocket. And then we're going to slip stitch into the next available loop that we have that is right next to the slit that goes into the body to eliminate a gap on that side as well. Well, once we do that, go ahead and do a chain up of 1 and cut. And then we're actually just going to do the same exact sequence that we did over here on the other side. Just remember to make sure that you're going in through the right loops, whether if it's the front loop or the back loop, to make sure that there's ribbing along the outside. But go ahead and do that, chain up 1 and cut, and then I'll meet you guys back. Alrighty, so we are all back. We have just finished up going in with both of our pockets along both sides, and this next part is the fun part, but also optional for you guys. But the next part is going to be the corset size on the side. This next part is actually optional because it looks really, really good without it as well. But you guys can decide whether if you guys want it or not, or you can leave it as is and then add it in later. Completely up to you guys. But if you guys are ready to add it in just like how I am, we're going to go ahead and get started right now. So taking a look at this side panel that we made for ourselves that went underneath our underarm, we did leave all of these loops for us to go into. That's why we went into the back loops when we were doing this section. But how we're going to start this off is actually by making some loops along each side and then going with our corset ties after that. So what we're going to do is take a look at one of these sides that we have that's right on top of where we left our back loops. And then we're going to be counting up about 2 rows, and we're going to insert our hook in through any one of these loops that is within that second row. There's not a real loop for us to go into, so we're just going to have to eyeball it. We're going to insert our yarn onto our hook, pull through, and then once when we have that, we're automatically going to prepare for a half double crochet. So we're going to yarn over, and then we're going to go into that first loop that we have, this first back loop, with a half double crochet. So insert, yarn over, pull through, all 3. And once when we have that, now we can go in with the rest of our loops. So we're going to do a chain up of 1, prepare for a half double, skip 1 loop, go into the loop right after that with another half double. Let's do 1 more together. Chain 1, prepare for a half double, skip 1 loop, go into the loop after that with a half double. And that is basically it for this section. Go ahead and keep doing this all the way down until we get to the end, which is right before we get to our bottom border, and then I'll meet you guys back so that we can do that together. So I've just made it all the way down with our netting, and this is what things should be looking like. And we don't have any more loops left to go into, so now we're just going to slip stitch into the base, which is right above our bottom border. And just like how we started, there's not going to be a real loop for us to go into, so we're just going to have to eyeball it. Pick 1, and from here we're going to yarn over, pull through everything with a slip stitch. Once we have that, chain up 1 and cut. And then now that we have this guy done, the other sides are going to be the same. So this one and then the 2 along the other side are going to be the same as well. So go ahead and get all of that done, and then I'll meet you guys back. So we are back, and we have just finished up going in with our loops or our netting, whatever we're wanting to call it, on both sides. Here's 1. And then here's 2, and as you guys can see, I've also already gone in with my tie portion, which is just a regular chain that is able to weave in and out of all of these loops going all the way down. And just to let you guys know, I have a total of 65 inches or 125 centimeters. And then from there, we are pretty much all done. The only thing that we have left to do is just weave in all of our ends. We have woven in our ends, and our first official jacket is all finished up. I feel like we should write down this day because we've done cardies and sweaters for as long as I can remember, but never a jacket. So today is a very special day. There is a written pattern for this jacket down below. Use offer code TCDDIY for a discount. Enter this week's pattern giveaway by telling us which musical artist you'd love to see in concert, even if you already have. Good luck to everyone who enters. Also, give this video a thumbs up and let us know what you liked about it. But if you didn't, give this video a thumbs down, but let me know how we can improve. If you love it, be sure to hit that bell so you know when there's new uploads, and also be sure to share us on Twitter, Pinterest, Instagram, and Facebook. Links down below. If you want to buy this piece or any other piece on the channel, links to Poshmark, Depop, and Etsy are down there too, along with tools used. Thanks so much for watching, guys, and I'll see y'all in the next one.